man, we don't like the Robertsons because they're too controversial. Well, you're actually doing a debate. We're not done with this. You're actually having a debate as a result of the jack-up process that came from our tent. We went door to door while they were here. We are doing all kinds of things that people wouldn't normally do. We excite the people in our area. We challenge the people in our area. The preachers all know us. Often we go and put a flyer on their door. Someone says, I wouldn't do that. Geno Jennings did it to us. The reason I'm in contact with Geno Jennings is because one of his helpers put a flyer on our door, and then I followed up with the flyer. Thank you very much for doing that for me. So these folk were jacked up. They go back to their home area. Now, let me just say this. Tennessee, folk from around Cookeville, Tennessee, folk from Manchester, Tennessee, folk from the Phoenix area, right behind the guy in yellow, Orlando, Florida, drop down, New Hampshire, move over, Maryland, move over beside the lady with the blue dress on, Boston, Kansas, right behind the woman with the cowboy hat on, Kansas. All these folk are represented as our door knockers in. Do you think they came all the way to Virginia just to sit around and not take advantage? No, they're honing their skills, and when they go back home, they're going to do the things that they do here. Now, notice this. Let me see how to do this. First, I'm going to play a video because I want you to be experts. At least I think it is. Roberts, cultish, Apologia Church. We're not really doing broadcasts on them, folks. We're doing broadcasts about the truth to try to help you to figure out what is the truth and what is not the truth. Here's another. This email came, I believe this one was maybe it was on the 18th, a little earlier in the day, and this is from a gentleman that is actually involved with the same. He's not really involved. He's just a guy out in Louisiana, and so he says, I thanked him for participating. He says, you're welcome. It's been interesting and revealing. He says it's been interesting and revealing, Johnny, but it may not be over. You should be getting an invitation to meet with me on a very large platform where many more people can listen and listen to us discuss these things. So those are emails that I was getting from Jeremiah Roberts and Trey. And I'm going to let you look at the email that I was getting. Now, to me, this is basically, these guys are internet, pretty much. Trey Fisher. The guys at Apologia Church, they're out on the streets. They're standing at abortion clinics, things of that nature. They're giving the Mormons in their area the blues. But Trey, not so much. Listen to this. Jeremiah Roberts writes to me. He says, hey, Johnny, I've been observing the colorful back and forth with Trey and figured it would be a good thing to reach out to you. The reason we formulated the podcast on the Church of Christ the way we did was in order to get some good conversation going. And from what I can see, it looks like we've made an impact. Now, we're currently planning on doing a follow-up to get someone from the Church of Christ to come on the podcast and do a moderated dialogue with Trey. I was out immediately. Trey is a lame, know-nothing renegade from the Church of Christ who now calls himself a Calvinist. If he dropped Phil Robertson at Duck Dynasty's name once in a conversation, he dropped it 30 times. He wanted everybody to know that he was buddies with Phil Robertson and the Duck Dynasty crowd down in Monroe, Louisiana. You know what that does? That even makes him more lame. You know why? If you became a member of the Church of Christ from those guys' tutelage, you're more like a community church because they are not members of the body of Christ and they don't claim to be. They call that the West Monroe Church. It has not been associated with the body of Christ in years. They believe in mechanical music. They have a wine company and they got cigar sales going on just way out there. And Trey is not on our list of individuals to debate. That's basically what we were doing. He says, there's a couple of people that were considered, but given your passion and the countless videos you've made, including some small snippets of me from my brief conversations with Leighton, you're currently at our top candidate. That was in November of 2021. As of right now, the tentative date would be February, as we are currently booked out for the rest of the year, and our studio will be closed down in January. If this is something you'd be interested in, please let me know ASAP the next couple of days and we can discuss further details. If for some reason you're not interested and you don't hear back from us, we'll be moving on with other candidates. Fine. I did not want to debate Trey Fisher. I'm saying Trey Fisher doesn't know how to debate, for one thing, and he would never agree to a format televised. I'm not going over there and doing anything Zoom with these guys. I'm not letting them dictate the kind of format that we do. We're doing a format that is tried and true. What's tried and true? We have denominational preachers obey the gospel from our debates. And we're not going to lower our design for somebody like, and number two, we didn't want to ever have anything to do with Trey. He actually, the individual that we were the most interested in was Jeremiah Roberts himself. He doesn't know anything, and we were going to show that. He's just basically a host. And the real goal was to get in front of Jeff Durbin and James White. Now, here's what actually was taking place. He was talking about what was going on in Mesa as a result of the folks who came to our tent and then came back and, as we say, jacked them up.
Discredited him as righteousness. So that's established. And he says that
the girl who just dropped her head into the camera is one of the girls that was standing in our tent. Leighton is the man in the yellow shirt that was at our tent. And now they're on the streets of Mesa, and that is Jeremiah Roberts. They went up the food chain. Jeremiah Roberts, they talked to Jeff Durbin, and I believe from the footage that we have 2 years ago that they were ringing their bells. And for some reason, they want to shovel it off on Trey. No, thank you. These are the fellas that we're interested in. And, you know, somebody said, you'll never get a debate with them. Don't say never to me. I now have a meeting that is taped with Geno Jennings, and it took 24 years for us to move along. You might say, well, what did 24 years get you? Listen, y'all, in 24 years, you can have a lot of people building up a lot of anxiety, a lot of excitement, and 24 years gives you a lot of time to be involved in a lot of different things. The whole Eastern Seaboard over here, and somebody says, do you realize how many people on the Eastern Seaboard? Yes, I do. Can I use hyperbole? Do you mind? I mean, if basically they're saying things about tent meetings and how they work and the process by which we get all these things going, you know, I think I can use a little hyperbole. Got a lot of folks, and I'm going to show them to you in just a bit, a lot of folks talking about and mentioning the fact that it's taken 24 years for Geno Jennings to step up and do what he said he was going to do 24 years ago, and that is work us over when he got to Martinsville. And it's taken him 24 years and a lot of moving around in order to get ourselves positioned. I don't know how many videos that we have. We have Jeff Durbin answering us from the pulpit, James White answering us from the pulpit. These guys are out on the streets bringing these folk to bear, and then they have this in like the aftermath as a result of all of the impact they said we made.